Hello, my name is Lamerck, and welcome to the Naval Sports League. For our first-time watchers, the Naval Sports League, or NSL, is the ultimate naval competition in the game of Holdfast Nations at War. League battles are simple. Two teams, each led by a single admiral, pilot 5 large capital ships and 2 small support boats with the goal of sinking as many capital ships as they can within 35 minutes. Whoever sinks the most wins, and if there's a tie, we decide the winner by overall score. Teams consist of anywhere between 20 to 40 players, and the league provides mercenaries to balance out any number disparities between the teams. Every player in the league, be they a team player or mercenary, is competing hard for end-of-season awards and accolades. Every battle will take place on a randomly chosen map, with randomly chosen wind direction. Both of these factors mean that no two battles will ever be the same. The league lasts for 9 months, from late February to November, with 3 to 4 games a month for you to enjoy. Once that main season is over, the top 3 teams of the league will duke it out to determine who wins the champion's crown. The NSL is a collection of Holdfast's most talented admirals, officers, and crews, and the tactical gameplay you'll see here is at a higher level than anything else this game has to offer. We hosts and co-hosts will be here for the entire battle to help you understand the decisions and strategies you'll see play out in the NSL Coliseum. So, without further ado, let's get to the pre-game coverage. I am joined today by my good friend Eggs. Eggs, how are you today?
Hello, I'm great. I'm happy to be here.
Good. Let's get right into things. We are going to start with our league standings today, and then we will get into some of the details of what we are going to be dealing with today in this matchup between the SCP-38s and the Marines. Taking a look at the league standings, we have the Leviathans on top with a 6-0 record, the Krakens in second place, followed by the SCP-38s, Royal Black Fleet, Jackals, and the Marines. You can see on the screen their records and their points difference. Remember, folks, if this is your first time watching or you're not really familiar with all this, the points difference kind of matters, but it really only matters if 2 of the teams have the same win-loss record. So the big one there is the record. That's the number that's determining these ranks here, and the points difference, that's really going to come into play on the account of when we need to break a tie between 2 of these teams, which is not the case right now for any of these teams. So it is the win-loss record. Eggs, do you want to take us a little bit through some of the shocking changes that we've seen in the player leaderboard since our last battle?
Huge upset on the player leaderboard this week. We have Shadow, who has rocketed up from 5th place, where Shadow's been 4th or 5th for the most of the season. I don't think he's ever made it to 1 or 2, and he has jumped up ahead of Scorrigan, Verita, and Daniel Franklin there. We haven't had a new addition to this leaderboard for a good number of weeks, probably about several. Daniel Franklin is the newest member of this esteemed club here. But yeah, Shadow had a great match 2 weeks ago before the break, and he is comfortably in the number 2 spot there. But Spicy has a good lead. You can see that difference. There's a good amount of buffer between him and the number 2 position.
Can Spicy be beat on this player leaderboard? I don't know.
I don't know how he does it consistently week after week. These players participate in most matches, even games that aren't their own. So they don't have any influence over what cannons they get. They don't have any influence like over what ship they get to be placed on. So this is them, really performing at peak efficiency, even when they don't have any control over like how they play and where they play.
It's an incredible thing. All right, let's move on to the side-by-side. We had the SCP-38s today versus the Marines. The Admirals will be Muffin Top Scout and Kirans for the Marines, which I always used to mispronounce Searons, but that's not how it's pronounced. It's Kirans. Their season record is 3-2 for the SCP-38s and 1-5 for the Marines. Their all-time matchup is that the SCP-38s have beaten the Marines 1 time. Top players. Spicy Paper for the SCP-38, of course. Daniel Franklin, also one of those top 5 guys. And B. Bobby, 123, a guy whose name I pronounce differently every single time. I add a B or I don't. I take away a B every single time I pronounce his name. The Marines, we have the Bjornsson, we have Dumbbell, and Count Chocula, all really great players as well. The one to watch on each team, we have Axolotl on the SCP-38s and Vex on the Marines. Keep your eyes out for watching them. When you're watching the screen, if you're looking at the kill feed on the side, see when their names come up, and we will celebrate them. Now, we like to do at this part where we each champion a team and we talk a little bit about why we think that these teams are going to win as compared to the other teams. So I'm going to start with Eggs. He's going to start with the SCP-38, and I will take the Marines. Take it away, Eggs.
The SCP really need to let their gunnery shine today. If you remember the player leaderboard, 2 of those top 5 players are on SCP. And along with mercenaries from the other team, they're going to have some really stellar gunnery. Their goal is going to be really catching the Marines in a bad position and letting their guns do the work. And I think if they make that happen, they'll walk away with a win today. No problem.
Yeah. For the Marines, they've had some internal restructuring, and I think that's going to bring for them today a level of focus and sort of homogeneity amongst their teams that is going to create a lot better of a performance than we've seen from the Marines. That is not to say that their performances recently have not been bad. I think in everybody's recent memory, their battle against the Jackals is one of the most memorable battles that we have seen in the NSL. It was probably my favorite battle of the year so far. And in that battle, they really conducted themselves extraordinarily well. So this is the Marines, even though they are literally at the bottom of the league standings, this does not mean that they are a bad team that cannot win. They absolutely can win. And it's like the wins just got to be at their back for and I meant that sort of like not literally. Just they just got to like everything's got to line up for them. And I think this week is a week where they can do it. The SCPs are a tough team, but I think the Marines have kind of put together an equation that can win. And the win is actually, I think, literally at their back today. So they're going to have that advantage as well. And I hope that they make the best of it. I think that that's how they're going to win today. So we're going to move on to the map. We see here Marines versus the SCP-38. So I think we're going to have the Marines as the French team today, and the SCP are going to be the British team. And once we get in, we'll tell you what those colors correspond to. But as you can see, the Marines are going to have the wind on their side. That is a pretty big deal for these guys. It really helps to have the wind on your side in the beginning of a battle. But taking a look at this map, Eggs, what do you see at this point? Like, what's your feeling about how this is going to go?
I think SCP is gonna want to play really defensively here. They're gonna want to keep the Marines in a position where they come at them, and I don't know how they're gonna do it. The islands on their side are really small. They're easy to slip around. I think they'd have an easier time if they had the opposite side islands, the bigger pill islands, where you can really trap, a fleet into an area
Yeah.
where you don't want them. So I'm really interested to see, how aggressive the Marines play this and how defensively SCP plays it.
Yeah, I agree with you. And, it really is. That seems to be the big question these days. A team does not have good wind. What is that? What is their defensive mindset, and how does it manifest in how far they try to go across the map? Where do they try to meet the enemy? Do they just kind of hang out by their spawn? Do they find some island positioning that gives them an advantage, a territorial advantage to their defense? So all of these things contribute to the decision-making process that these guys have to do. The SCP-38s have had some pretty recent and decent experiences with holding defense in islands. And it's, some of them have gotten criticism for them. Some of them have been really, fantastic. And I think they've just, through the good and the bad, I think they've really refined what they do in a defensive situation. So I don't think that the Marines are going to have some, they're going to have to really outthink some guys who are really quite strong on the defense at this point. And we really got to see if they've got it in them to do that. And I think they could. Um, but it really depends. I think as for admirals, there are admirals today. We're talking about two guys who are pretty experienced in the NSL at this point. Like we're not going to get any curveballs, I think, from the commanders of the fleet. Eggs, what I do remember is that Kieran's had told us, not in his most recent battle, but I think the one before it, that basically he's going to be all offense all the time. So I
Interesting.
think that's what we're going to see here today. I think we're going to see all offense all the time.
He's got the map to do it today.
He really does. I mean, if there's ever such a situation, this is the one. So I know that we are having little of a hiccup with our server, and so we're restarting our server right now to make sure that everybody can get in there nice. So if you want, Eggs, let's talk a little bit about we kind of glossed over this at the beginning, and we don't need to go back to it on the screen or anything like that, but talking about the leaderboard and what these teams, like what a win means for both of these teams today.
A win for the Marines is basically the same as a loss for them. I don't think their position on the leaderboard changes. I think it would mean a lot to the players on the Marines with the
Yeah,
recent changes in their structure. I think it'd
agreed.
be huge for them. And I think it'd be a really tough hit for SCP as they're trying to cement, where on the leaderboard they're staying. What is it, 3? Is it 2? I think a loss today is a really tough hit in them trying to punch up to the number 2 spot, and come out of, and be in the final of this league.
Yeah. And just if we don't have it on the screen, just so that everybody can kind of visualize it, the Marines are 1-5, right? They're at the bottom of the league standings leaderboard right now. A win for them gets them to 2-5. That actually does, I think, it does bump them up. I think to from last place, as the Jackals are 2-6. So it does climb them the ranks, but you're right. It's not functionally going to put them into any major different structure in the league, which is to say, like, they're still going to be in the bottom half of the bracket, and that bottom half of the bracket is going to mean that they are not in contention for the championship. They will be still in contention, and they are now still in contention for the bottom bracket championship, which we're also going to host. Right, we're dividing the upper and lower half of the brackets so that both the higher and low get a shot at some glory at the end of the season. The SCP-38, I think they really want to be the second place team, like you were saying,
Yeah.
Alex. I think that's
Yeah.
huge for them. The Krakens have been, again, aside from their battles with the Leviathans, the Krakens just cannot be beat by anybody. They are just wiping the floor with most other teams. And I think the SCP gave, I think it was the Jackals. Was the Jackals most recently who gave them like a real big scare in their last battle? But even still, they pretty comfortably ended up winning that battle on the backs of their incredible gunnery. The Krakens are just an incredible team. I mean, really, like take the Leviathans out, and the Krakens occupy that same level of just utter dominance over the league right now. The SCP need two things to happen. They need to win this battle, and then they need the Krakens to lose another battle. They have that, and they are the second place team. So
Yeah.
it's a path. There's a path.
I think all the context, what this tells us about today is that the Marines are going to be really aggressive, and that can either make or break them. That's either going to be, a pretty comfortable win or a very sizable loss, and it depends on them.
Yeah, I mean they have like what do they have to lose? Why not go
Totally.
crazy, right?
Absolutely.
So I'm looking for it, and I think I have a feeling that Kieran's is thinking something similar because of what he said to us in the past in his interviews at the end of the game, where he says like, you know what, there's no reason not to. Let's go. Let's get in there and let's fight. They did it with the Jackals, and I mean, that was a coin toss right to the bitter end. And so it works for them to a
If
degree.
I can quote Kieran, who's in chat right now, he says, "quote I'm here to kick ass and chew gum, and I'm all out of gum." So Kieran's is ready for today.
Okay.
He's in chat talking smack. We also shout out to Twitch chat. We have a lot of Marines enjoyers. I see a lot. I see a lot of SCP rules, Marines rules. A lot of
Oh, I
that kind of
like it.
stuff.
I like
Shout
it.
out! Shout out to our chat.
Yes. All right. Well, we are just about ready to get started here. I see again, if that's what they're telling us in the chat, then that's what we're gonna see, and I cannot wait to see it. A Marines victory here would be, I think, it's one of those things that would just shock the league. The SCP have been just the toughest group of guys, and they've really, like you said, they have they have a lot of different parts that make up their team, but every one of those parts is really, really, really strong. And so
Yeah.
there's no way that the SCP are not going to bring a great fight today. Like that, I think is baked in as far as I'm concerned. The SCP-38s are going to bring in a tremendously strong fight. The Marines just have to match it, and then they have to take what they know, about the SCP. They do like a good defense when they're against the wind, and they have to use that to their advantage. One of the things I haven't gotten to talk about too much, I have mentioned it in my most recent war room, which is a while back. Defensive positions a static defensive position. If you line your fleet up in a certain place and you just hold there, that can be a very, very vulnerable position. Even though it looks good, it has a lot of teeth. It looks like it's outwardly facing. It's very dangerous facing outwardly. It can be a very, very dangerous and precarious position. So I really, really want to warn people that if you see an enemy fleet that looks like it's got the perfect position, usually its flanks are vulnerable. And that could be something we see here today. We are in the server and we have these teams flooding in. So I want to remind you guys all of what we are looking at here. We have the SCP-38 on the left side of the screen. They're going to be in the yellow ships. The Marines are going to be in the green ships. This is Varied Islands. That's the name of this map. It is got islands of various shapes. And it is going to present a little bit of an easier time, even though the Marines do have great wind. And that's going to help them surmount the fact that they have this like sort of big old island right in front of them. They're going to have to choose a path. So I'm going to start drawing on the screen a little bit, hoping that you're all watching what I'm watching here. And let's talk a little bit about what we're seeing here. So again, the Marines over here, they're going to have to choose one of these two directions to come through. That's going to give the other team a pretty strong indication of where the fight is going to happen. It's not a guarantee. This island does shake things up a little bit because once you get out here, let's say you go out this way, right? You can always swing through here or you could swing up here. So that there are still decisions to be made. But as for the SCP, remembering that the wind is going to be in this direction here. It's going to be going down diagonally. Okay. Let me see if I can get my pencil up here. And tell me if, Director Cam, tell me if you're seeing my pencil now, the way the wind is pointing. Either way, the wind is pointing diagonally down and to the left. I'm sorry, folks, if you can't see my pen. I have my what we call my crayon that I like to draw on the screen on. If you can't see it, that's no problem. I will narrate it for you. So what we're talking about is the fact that the Marines have that big old island right in front of them. And they have this big old island in front of them. It's going to give them an option to go up or down to start off with. Whereas the SCP-38's eggs, they have a kind of that straight channel through the middle of those islands. Real quick, folks, we have just started the all sail here. So we're going to see these two teams. They are going to start moving here. And the question for me, the big question at the beginning, what direction does the Marine goes? And do the SCP-38 set up a defensive position to start off with? If we do see the SCP holding a position amongst these islands, I think it's going to be not to their benefit. Because these small islands that are all around them are just so small and they are easy to get around for the enemy. You'd really want more of those pill-shaped islands like you see the Marines having on the right side of the screen. Those are going to give you a little bit more of, like, you can use those and the gaps between them are easily defensible. For the SCP-38s on the left side of the screen in the yellow ships, they don't have as many of those defensive positions to go for. So I think what we're going to end up having is both of these teams are going to go towards each other and they're going to fight. And you can see in the beginning, as we just see now, and Eggs, chime in if you're with me. I know that you were doing some settings behind the scenes. But the SCP-38s, they seem to be going, oh, are they going line abreast? They might be.
They are going line abreast. They're
yeah,
trying to get out of spawn as quick as possible to get into this setup that they want to do here.
And the way to do that is, to turn to the right a little bit. They want to go, what is on our compass here, if you look on the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, is to the north, because that's going to be the thing that gets them the most speed. You can see the Marines are just charging out of spawn. They're taking that lower avenue, that lower gap between the islands, and I think, of course, that's a great choice for them. They're going to be able to get to the smaller circular islands where the SCP is still struggling to get out of very quickly. And this battle, but by the looks of it, this battle is going to have a lot of action early on, and it's what we love to see. We love to see it. All right. The point of contact, first point of contact is going to be, I mean, very quick here. And once it starts, then all of these maneuvers at the beginning are going to be less important. I think what we're seeing here, Eggs, tell me if I'm wrong. I think the SCP have got to get their line in order very quickly here.
I think
Where
you're
do
right. They're going to be firing in short order here, and they're going to be in a position to do it. I'm seeing two gunboats on each side as well, kind of an
Right.
offensive posture from gunboats on the Marines as they kind of flank on the other side of this island. Maybe they're trying to be, a fly in the ear of this team and try to get around them a little bit. And defensive gunboats for SCP taking the more defensive posture with gunboats behind the 13 gun. But I think you're right. I think they're going to, whatever line they're going to want to be in here, they're going to want to get into it fast.
All right, be our eyes here for those listening on the radio, Eggs. Let them know what's going on here.
I'm seeing Marines are looking to turn northeast here. They have one 8-gun that's trying to cut ahead of this fleet, and they have the wind to do it. I'm really curious to see what this SCP line is here. What do you think their options are here at this point, Mark?
Yeah, that's the big question. So they do have what I would call egress, which is the ability to sort of run from this battle if it goes wrong, because they do have on what's their right side, right? So if we're looking at the yellow ships, the right side of those yellow ships, they could just duck behind these small islands if they need to. Um, that said, if the Marines do commit to this turn that they seem to be committing to, it's not out of the question that we could end up with a situation where both of these teams get close enough that one of them decides to like charge at the other. So they still have offensive options. At this point, both of the teams have like decent wind. The issue here for the SCP is to not get into a situation where the enemy can hit them like they're doing right now and they don't have all their guns in rotation. I think we're going to see the Marines have their guns in rotation before the SCP, and that's a problem.
I think you're right, and also, SCP's options here are go to the wall.
Yeah.
That's kind of what they're left with right now. But this kind of fire that's getting thrown all the way at the top of their range isn't going to do too much damage unless they can, be lucky and get a stray cannon here or there. But I'm not seeing many make contact.
Yeah, not to mention it's being fired at 8-guns, which is you want your 8-guns to be the first ships that get shot at. You certainly don't want it to be your 13 guns. What we're not seeing here, interestingly, from the sort of the fleet work analysis, is that neither of these 13 guns are particularly offset from their fleets. We might be seeing that develop over on the Marine side. We're certainly not seeing it able to develop yet on the SCP, but I think both of the captains are thinking about it, and you can tell. Okay, so you see how it's kind of already starting to develop here. The SCP and the Marines are both thinking, I got to get my 13 gun out. That was way too close. That scared me. I don't want my 13 gun to get targeted by all of their 8 guns. So,
Absolutely.
that's where we leave it.
And this, you can tell it was one Marine's 8-gun, which is maybe bait, maybe not. Maybe they're just trying to get ahead of this fleet as quickly as possible now that the wind is a little more even. But almost saying like, SCP, shoot this. Don't shoot my 13. Shoot this instead.
Please look somewhere else than my 13.
And turn in to shoot it. Stay nice and close.
Yeah. So we are looking to get to something like a line battle here, where at the wall, right? These two fleets are just going to line up and they're going to pound each other from well within range of each other. They're going to try and sink those 13 guns. I would at least. I would be aiming for 13 guns, and I think what we're seeing is a good force concentration and a good fire concentration on the 13 guns. The Marines are getting the worst of it by the HP. The SCP-38s have great discipline with their shots, and as you can see, it's like a triangle, and every part of that triangle is pointing right towards the Marines' 13 gun. A triangle of fire from the SCP-13s. The Marines' 13 gun is now at half already. That's a problem for them. It's not just a little problem; it's a huge problem.
It's a big problem. I do want to call out that we do have some gunboat advantage on the Marines. They are kind of really sneaking behind this line and trying to get some shots on back. There's a backboard on the very rear 8, while the SCP gunboats are trying to trap them and dare them to come around a corner, but the Marine gunboats are more than happy to just sit there and dial in their cannons unobstructed.
Yeah, and this stuff that's happening at the back of the fleet we talk about backboards. Why does he say the word backboards, audience? It is where a ton of ship HP is located. The back of these ships, right, have a big HP pool reserve in them. And so that's why you're going to see a lot of shots at the back. That's why destroying the enemy backboard is important. You're taking a huge chunk of HP off when you do it. I don't know if you're seeing what I'm seeing here, Eggs, but it's looking like the Marines are curving in, and they're going to try to cut off the front of this fleet. They've done it before. It does not work for them, and I don't think it's going to work here. I think it's going to be a very aggressive maneuver. The thing is, they're about to lose their 13 gun.
Yep, and they're sacrificing their 13 to do it.
Yeah, this is not good. The enemy 13 gun is nowhere close to going down, and the Marines 13 gun has just sunk. So we're at a situation here now where the Marines have an uphill struggle. Their 8 guns are pristine. Okay, so that you could say for them. And they are in a position where they can get very close, get very ugly with the SCP-38s. The question
Big
is...
shot from Spicy on the lead Marines 8 gun too.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty brutal. If all the SCP-38s have to do is just get their 13 gun kind of out of here, so that oh my god, yeah, this is not good. Unfortunately, it seems, and I think this is, one of the decisions that the Marines keep making is to not focus on the enemy's 13 gun and then throw their 13 gun at the enemy when things are looking grim. This seems to be a repeating pattern here of decision making. It's very glorious, no doubt. It's very brave, but it's not winning them battles. And again, the SCP-38s are just such a great team, and they had such good cannon discipline in that battle to the wall, that line charge to the wall. So now the question is, even in the short time since I said that the 8 guns of the Marines were pristine, one of them almost got completely destroyed.
Yep.
So, yeah, we have to see what they do, because they're going to be very, very shortly. They're going to be down to 3 8 guns versus the entire SCP-38 fleet, and yeah, that's not where I'd want to be at this situation. Not where I'd want to be at all. Probably get some great boarding action, though. I mean, if they're here to have fun, I'm sure that they're going to have a lot of fun today.
I want to shout out the captain of the SCP-13 gun, which is doing a really good job trying to keep something in rotation this whole time, while this Marines fleet has kind of split all over the place. They're doing a great job. Yeah. Let's see what these Marine 13 or 8 guns can do. I mean, they have a pretty good angle on a few different ships here. Maybe they can take advantage of the chaos.
One of the things that the Marines have done really well, I have to credit this to a boarding party because I don't know what else could have made this happen. But if you look like far to the west, there is an 8 gun. There's a SCP-38 8 gun that is just way far away from any of this action. I have a feeling it got boarded. Somebody held onto the helm, and they just kept that thing sailing. So it's certainly possible at this point that maybe the SCP are a little bit less coordinated fully than they could hope for right now. But as long as that 13 gun is up and firing at something, though it is taking quite a bit of cannon fire right now, but as long as it's up and firing at something, it's going to continue to build the advantage. And that's what we're talking about when we talk about ship HP. Building the advantage over the enemy, getting just a larger pool of total ship HP amongst your ships, having more cannons that you can bring to bear. That's what the SCP-38 is doing right now. And we're down, like, I think for the Marines, we're down to 1 very healthy ship and 2 8 guns that are down to half. I'm not seeing any of the SCP-38 ships in any imminent danger of sinking at this point. I think they might be able to take this with no losses.
I think you're right. And it's a lot of damage on those ships. It's just spread out evenly.
Exactly. And that really goes to show that the Marines need to readjust their doctrine to being a lot more focused on taking a ship by ship by ship down. You have to start with a 13 gun. You've got to sink that because it's just, if left alive, it just obliterates fleets. And then from there on out, you've just got to go, again and again and again. Next ship. Okay, get all my cans on the next ship. All my cans on the next ship. They're just not able to do it. We've got a really cool DMAS and probably a really great boarding situation that's happening at the SCP-38's flagship, their 13 gun, they have demassed an 8 gun that's just sitting right off their port side, and probably a very interesting scenario happening
Oh
on
yeah,
that ship right now.
Jesper from the VOC is. Ooh, he just went down, but he was doing work. I think he took out both those masts. And I'm even hearing people talk a little garbage, a little chat to each other on how long it took to take out Jesper. So shout out Jesper, really good job taking out those 2 masts.
Yeah, well done, Jesper. A VOC member of the constituent, this coalition of great regiments, of which the VOC is certainly one. And you can really see, I think, what I'm taking from what I'm watching here is that the SCP-38s, all those constituent regiments, are starting to really work together, and they're really starting to figure out what it means to be a team that's made up of many different regiments and yet still has coordination. The coordination of fire that we saw from them today was professional grade. It shows that they are absolutely, they belong in the top half of this league. No question about it.
A great question for the post game. How do they keep organization between all of these different groups? And I'm really curious to see what their structure is, and if they just mix everybody up, or if they give each regiment a boat, or however. I'm really curious to see how they do it.
Let's get into some of the more minute dramas that are happening across this battlefield. We have 2 8 guns. I think maybe they just finished a firefight in which they were peeling off from the main battle, and they were sort of just dueling here. Meanwhile, a third ship is coming in. This is sort of towards off to the southeast of the 13 gun and its action. Meanwhile, the 13 gun and almost all of the other 8 guns are just pounding this crippled ship to the point where it is now sunk. So the ship that the 13 gun was boarding with, that great action was happening to demast it. That's all taken care of. And it has not even been 15 minutes yet. It's just about to be 15 minutes in this battle, and there is no sign of possible path to victory for the Marines. They are down to one very healthy, but a lone 8 gun. Their fleet has been effectively taken care of.
I mean, that's how you know that their fire control has been so disciplined, is that the last ship up is pretty healthy.
Right, because why bother with it? You go for the strongest ship, and then you go for the next best available target, and right down the line. And by the time they get here, yeah, there's like you said, there's more than a few ships in the SCP team that if focus fire was brought to them, they would probably go down pretty quickly. But there is no capacity for focus fire left in the Marines. They are now in a heroic last stand, and it will be a great battle. It will be extremely exciting to watch what this crew does and how they fend off defeat for these next few minutes. But there's no question. They are going to get sunk, and they are going to get sunk in the next few minutes as the SCP fleet just slowly brings its way towards the southeast and begins to set up its attack.
And this crew is bravely splitting fleets, shooting from both sides. Shout out to our Captain Seaman Demon on this one. Really trying to make the most of this last stand here.
Yeah, it's always glorious to watch a very healthy ship at the end. Like, it's a beautiful thing to watch them really fight against the tide and try to eke out every point that they can, and every kill that they can, and every cannon explosion that they can. But usually when they get into a situation like this, they don't have a lot of cannons left. If you're close in, let us know what the situation is on deck. Like, what are these guys dealing with here? What do they got to bring to bear?
It's packed, and they're getting oh no,
icy.
Oh, I just saw that happen live. Icy, those are war crimes, Icy. You shouldn't have done that. The crew on the ship is just getting bounced around. Like, if they're not standing for long, there goes Icy with another cannon explosion. Oh man, and as the numbers are getting whittled down here on this last 8 gun. But yeah, I mean, you can't fire anything at this deck and not hit at least a body or 2.
How many cannons do they have on their port side?
None.
So they've just completed this turn to get their port side cannons into rotation, and as they were doing so, guys like Icy and others are just destroyed all those cannons. So
now they have no cannons, no swivels.
Oh my goodness!
This is a musket platform, a floating musket platform.
Yeah, and this is what happens. This is all what happens when you don't reduce the enemy's fleet strength early on. And I mean, great bounce off the wall. Their captain did exactly the right thing
Yeah,
here.
really
Bounce off
great.
the wall,
Well
get those
done.
starboard side cannons in, or maybe he seems to be using the 8 gun that's positioned in front of him to shield himself
That's
from
cover.
the greater fire. That's a great move. It's a
Yeah,
great move.
absolutely. And
And you said
yeah, now
a Seaman Demon on the helm?
it's Seaman Demon now inviting a little bit of friendly
great.
fire on the 8
Yeah.
gun. It was just getting hit by its friendlies here.
Well, what do they care? What do they care?
Yeah, true. Yeah.
You
Great
know,
point.
get it. Yeah, great move. Got those starboards in. I'm sure he's dumping just body after body after body onto that 8 gun right now. And then he's going
Yep.
to charge for the next guy. Wow, that is brutal. This ship is just absolutely not going down. But it had so much HP to start off with, so not a surprise there.
Meanwhile, the 13 gun's still not back in the fight. Trying to get some amount of wind to get there as soon as possible.
No need. I mean, they're doing just fine without him.
Yeah, might as well just spawn on the other ships. Oh.
All right, we are at the final moments of this battle. Eggs, what? I think I know my takeaway. We probably both said it multiple times here, but what is the takeaway from this? Oh, D-Mess.
Ooh, and that is the match. Takeaway is fire control. Fire control. I mean, the Marines had a really good position. They were trying to get ahead of that fleet the best they could. Again, if those islands on the SCP side, they use them like really intelligently, slipping between them, getting to the wall, getting an angle in, and coordinating fire on that 13. I mean, like I think the meta in this league this far in is that we know how much damage that 13 is. I mean, imagine if the roles were reversed. What if the Marines took down the SCP-13 early, or got the Karen 8? This would be a very different game.
Yeah, 100%. It really is. I want to just note that I saw the screen as we were leaving, and Spicy Paper got like 3,000 points this game. So
That's
Spicy
unfortunate
Paper,
for him that there's no position above first place.
really, we need to start like putting letters or something up there so that he can get higher. Because that was a triple S tier performance by Spicy Paper, among many others who did an incredible job in that battle. But yes, back to what you're saying. That's it. I mean, you're right. I concur 100% with what you're saying. It is about target priority. It is about getting that 13 gun down. If it had been the other way, it's just the Marines are a lot of guts. They charge in on these extraordinarily powerful teams. They don't mind getting a dirty fight with them, but the inability to take their 13 gun and offset it. You got to let the beginning of these battles be between 8 guns. You really have to just let the 8 guns whittle each other down, and then maybe you make a maneuver, you try to cut behind or something. The 13 guns got to be protected. And the meta, the people who understand that meta are winning, and the people who are not are on the bottom half of the league. And that's, I mean, I really want to see more of that from these guys. Because I think with just a little adjustment like that, just a little bit more conscientiousness around your 13 gun, these guys have cannoneers that can match some of the top 3 teams. I really do believe that. And so, we will see if the lessons get learned. And sometimes it's going to take a few defeats to figure out something like that. And sometimes it's, well, we have here with us our Muffin Top Scout, our Admiral for the SCP-38. So let's get right into talking to him. Eggs, why don't you take it away? I'm always a hog for these exit interviews, but by all means, please take it away.
Wow, a hog. No, Muffin, congrats on the win. Really great job. Really good defensive posture. How do you feel about this? I mean, is there anything you feel like you could have improved upon on this, or anything you weren't happy about? Or are you guys thrilled?
First thing, White Frost is trying to join the server. So, oh, there he is. Okay, so because I want to include him. But yeah, overall, the fight was what we wanted it to be, one long fight. The main thing that kind of tripped us up is we honestly thought that Marines were gonna go through the other gap at the beginning of the match, but so when they showed to be a little bit more aggressive on us, we adapted a little bit, but it became all right, this is what I want to do, kind of not really micromanaging, but telling the guys, all right, speed forward a little bit. Don't beat them to the wall. I don't want to beat them to the wall. I want them to keep turning on us so that we would have similar to what I thought the Jackals versus the Krakens, like the Jackals mistake was they didn't hold their line and let the Krakens kind of beat them to the wall so that, the ships would be out of angle nearly while all of their ships were in angle. And that's what I wanted to do. Just keep my 13 offset, let them come to us and fight it out. And they did. And it was a really fun fight. And, we were constantly moving guys around for boarding actions. And it was so much fun. It was good chaos.
Another great round for Icy. How do you coordinate fire between all ships? How do you communicate that down the line?
Right. So that communicates through myself to the captains, and then the captains to each crew. And it's it starts out very simple of, hey, the 13 guns right there, it's in range. All ships focus it down. If you aren't in rotation just yet, kind of like at the beginning, how some of my ships had to rotate out, that's fine. Engage targets that you can. And then then it becomes all right, all ships slow down, close up, focus fire, get that ship in rotation, bring it down.
And then my last question is, and I'll toss it to Merc after, is how do you organize all of the different regiments in your group? Do you mix everybody up so like not one ship has too many of VOC, or how do you work that?
Well, no, we're the opposite. So we try to keep, for the HLG and the VOC, we try to keep them together on their own ships because it is a lot easier because they know each other, or each regiment knows each other to communicate. And then we talk with the captains, like White Frost here can attest to kind of how we kind of distribute is like, hey, now that you know us, who do you want? Do you have considerations? Like I would like to hear from White Frost, kind of a little bit of his thoughts on how he thinks of, the SCP now that he's competed with us twice and he's done quite well as captaining both times.
Yeah, White Frost, take it away.
Of what is there to say? um, no, it's actually quite nice. It's actually quite refreshing to have such competent partners. That sounds very negative. Anyway, no, actually, yeah, it's very much conversation on eye level, and I do prefer that. That's great. And yeah, I've for myself had the privilege of having the 86, I think, was it? Yeah, on my boat, and the decent people. So yeah, everything all right.
Well, so I mean, it seems like everything's starting to really gel together for you guys, and you're ironing out, the communications, and it seems that your captains are obviously getting to the point where, order coming on down, and everybody's understanding what that means.
Yeah, it's been pretty fun, having two separate comms for leadership and then I should say leadership comms and then individual ship comms. That way
Yeah.
it doesn't get too hectic. Everyone can focus in on orders. And something else, Amit today, he was able to basically kind of handle secondary coordination of like the borders of I would say, hey, this ship needs more people. He would be like, oh, that's that's that ship. Start sending people, helping me coordinate.
No, that's nice. I mean, it's really wonderful to see the complexity of communications actually increase. It's not like the sexiest part of what we're doing here, but the teams that do have complex abilities to, issue like very granular orders to a single ship or to single individual crewman and yet not be interrupting the entire fleet as it does its work. Like that actually is really important in this league, and it's something that the regiments who do it benefit from it tremendously. So it's really great to hear that communications are going well for you because you're a team, I think maybe the team that communications could be going the worst for because of how many regiments constitute your team. So to hear it going well is just great. And obviously the results are indisputable. Like, you guys did a great job today, especially because organization and focus fire were, I think, the things that really won it for you today. So that's just fantastic to hear. Any comment that you want to make about the gunboat actions today? Obviously not the stars of the show today for the most part. It really was the capital ships. Was there anything going on that maybe we missed from the gunboats?
I mean, the gunboats, they do their bit. They always do their bit. And the way I like to, they're probably the only ships that I really micromanage more than my line ships.
Yeah.
I give the shot call and then kind of in general orders of how the fleet will maneuver. But for the gunboats, I kind of like to keep them a little bit closer. They will be in the channel with me so that I can give them direct orders. And they they did what I wanted them to do. I wanted the enemy gunboats to commit to attacking our line again so that we could ambush them, whether it be using our line ships or with the gunboats, which would happen. And then the gunboats, I think, did a great job in harassing the eights one at a time and helping do their, destroying cannons and becoming a focus for enemy boarding actions. So,
Yeah.
pulling an enemy crew away so that they couldn't, in certain situations, board my line ships because there was a couple collisions, there was a couple other events like that. So they they did their bit, and the way they kind of acted is how I want to use them. Granted, I was thinking of follow-on actions. If one of them did go down, I'd be like, okay, we're gonna rocket boat it because I want rocket boat actions. And because I was thinking that last 8 gun, it's like, how could we ram it with the boats to start turning it away, start trying to affect its movement, stuff like that, so that my line ships could get better shots. That's what we were kind of thinking, and they were willing to, but kind of like with the line ships, I give them the general orders. I try to micromanage them a little bit, but then I let them do their thing.
Yeah. Obviously, it's again, it's a strategy, a situation, and a communications doctrine that's working for you, and the priorities that you chose today. I mean, you didn't lose a ship, you didn't lose a capital ship, and that's really a great sign for you guys. My last question for you before we move on to the Marines is are you gunning for second place? I mean, we're all gunning to go up in the ranks, but I mean, what do you sincerely feel like is your shot of really securing a place, that second place for yourself?
Well, no, second place would be great, but I'm gunning for the Leviathans to have 2 losses.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's the spirit. That is the spirit. Okay, well then, with that bold statement, we are going to move on to Kieran's from the Marines. Kieran's tough loss today. We had a situation where the 13 gun sank on the relatively earlier side, and we just couldn't get to sinking the SCP-38 ships after that. But after your 13 gun sunk, we had a very aggressive turn in, and that seems to be really the fun part of this battle, where your guys just started charging like hell at the SCP-38. So tell us a little bit about the action. Maybe what did we miss, and what your strategy was going in here, and how it played out for you guys.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you, and well done to Muffin and the rest of the team. Well, I'm going to do what every good admiral does and blame my captains. I think I think the plan obviously was to win, and I believe there was a bit of skin in the game, fighting against some of the ex-members of the First RM. But I didn't realise that the SCP-38 had some talent on had some more talent than they already had, with them inviting the HLG and stuff like that. But yeah, there's definitely some good shooters out there. So the plan was to be aggressive. I think that's going forward. That's always going to be our doctrine: is be somewhat aggressive. But we really wanted to cross the T at the wall, and you'd think after the consecutive losses that we've had that we would think, oh, let's not go towards the wall of death, but we did that anyway. But yeah, it wasn't really as coordinated as we'd like, and I don't mean to put any excuses out there, but we have had a huge amount of newer players join on PC. So yeah,
Well, you can see
it's
it from your
definitely
numbers. I mean, you guys actually, it's really just mostly the first RM at this point that is constitutes the team. And so not only the losses, but also any glory is all for you guys. And yet, despite the fact that it's like the other team that you guys had started with, it's not really much of a presence anymore. Your numbers are going up on a week-to-week basis of how many people you're bringing to these fights, which obviously shows you're recruiting really well and you're bringing more people. Now that's obviously going to result in a little bit of growing pains and it's sort of initiation for some of these new players. But
yeah.
And of course, again, we got to talk about the fact that yes, the SCP38 has, I mean, 22, 16, HLG, VOC. These guys are just like stupendous cannoneering teams. Like, and
Yeah.
any one of them on their own is a stupendous cannoneering team. So they've got a stacked team. There's no question about it. They're a top tier team. What I noticed today was really like the 13 gun really just stayed it because you could tell, I'm sure, they were focusing all on your 13 gun, right? Every single
Yeah.
cannon on their team was focusing on your 13 gun. So I guess the question is, why not offset it a little bit? Why not break it? Because I saw that like that was something that you kind of tried to do, but then it kind of came back. It really seemed like your 13 gun didn't want to get too far away from anything, but that put it in the danger zone. So what's the thoughts on the future with your 13 gun?
Well, firstly, we were supposed to have Henry West as our captain today, but he had some trouble, so we had to do a very, very quick replace with Krieger,
Tough.
who he's more a line leader than he is a naval player. So
Yeah.
yes, it's I think the idea in the future and the idea today was to try and do a little bit of focus fire. Initially, we wanted to try and take out their Vanguard 8 gun and then switch over to the 13 gun, but it doesn't always pan out. I think we're one of those teams where we still haven't resolved the communications issue. We, and I don't know if it's any secret to anyone else, but we use Steam as our source of comms for the captains, and then Discord for the crew, and it kind of works, but it also doesn't at the same time. It's just something we're gonna have to refine in the future.
Yeah. I don't know. I wonder, Muffin, exactly how you do it. I know in the Leviathans, we do it. We take our captains and our officers and we put them in one chat. And then we have the officers who are in the chat with the captains and can take orders. And then they talk in game to the crews. So we don't use like multiple Discord chats. We just have one like leader Discord chat. And then any commands from a leader of a ship get sent to their like deck officer basically. And then the deck officer just tells the crew, but using the in-game voice chat. Is that what you guys do in the 38s?
No, that's something we've considered, but it just turns out kind of natural how people like to communicate is the fewer push to talk buttons, obviously the better. So my officers and myself, we brought back the ancient lore of TeamSpeak.
Oh
Wow.
yes.
So
That's
we
cool.
chill in TeamSpeak and
The old texts.
yeah, yeah, and some of us do have the I don't know if mod's the right word, where you can have audio in one ear or you can separate your audios. So yeah,
Oh,
I got TeamSpeak in
wow.
one ear and Discord in the other.
Oh my God.
And then
One second, I'm just writing this down, Muffin. Say
yeah,
it again.
I mean,
I'm joking.
Write that down. Write that down.
I mean,
I'd go schizophrenic if I had two different chats in one each in one ear. I can't believe that's crazy. Amazing that you
it
can
be
do
a
it. Like,
little,
hats
it can
off.
be a little hectic, and definitely, thankfully, I think White Frost could attest to this. I was yelling at White Frost to do orders all day because I thought he was in a different ship. But thankfully, like I thought my lone 8 gun that kind of did tangoed with his Chiron's last
Uh-huh.
2 8s. I thought that was White Frost, so I'm yelling at White Frost like, just keep it in, or like just keep in rotation, keep fighting him. I'll send help as soon as I can. And then I look, like, oh, that's fishy. Never mind. White Frost, you keep doing what you're doing. You're staying with the fleet. You're great, man. You're great. Thank you.
Oh, that's funny. I want to pass over to Eggs. Eggs, do you have any questions for Kieran's?
No, I mean, well, let's see what your next match is and how you feel about that. Next
Yeah.
up, you have the Leviathans.
Oh,
Oh, easy peasy.
excellent. I can't wait. It's gonna be me and you, Kieran. Let's do it. Let's dance.
We've done this dance many times in pubs.
That's the truth. Oh well, I can't wait for that one. All right, well then, folks, we will leave it here. Thank you both to both of our admirals and our other friends who are joining us from the competing teams today. Great fight, and thanks for the entertainment and the explanation afterwards. We love having you guys on, and keep coming back and keep fighting hard here in the league. For our viewers, we are off next week, if I'm not mistaken, and then we have a great battle for you. I will be getting out of the host chair and getting back into the admiral seat after a very long hiatus of passing it over to probably more talented subordinates that I have been allowing to admiral for me. But I cannot allow it any longer. I cannot stay on the sidelines. I cannot do it. I absolutely must get back into the battle, and maybe win and maybe lose as we go into fighting the Royal Black Fleet. So that will be the next battle here, but it will not be next week. It will be the week afterwards, and we will be very happy to see you then. We'll have some great hosts lined up for you and some great battles for you to enjoy here in the Naval Sports League. Eggs, it has been a pleasure co-hosting with you. I hope you had a great time.
Had a great time.
Good. And thank you to all of our support staff, all of the correspondents, all of the guys who are out there marshaling the mercenaries and getting them to their teams, and to everybody behind the scenes who helps us out. Our director today was Atticus, and we love him very much, and we thank him for all of his hard work. We will see you next time, folks. Thanks so much for joining us for today's Naval Sports League battle. See you next time, and have a great weekend.